Pirkei Avot, first parak, Mishna 8. Yehuda ben Tabai v'Shimon ben Shetach kiblu mehem. Yehuda ben Tabai omer, Al ta'as atzmecha ke'orchei hadayanin. Do not make yourselves like those who arrange cases before the judges. This is going to be subject to a bit of machlokas. What exactly does this mean? Different mafarshim say different things. Uchsheyu v'alei dinim omdim l'fanecha, yehu ve'enecha kirshaim. And on a litigant stand before you, let them be like the guilty parties, like wicked people. Rasham literally means wicked people. Uchsheniftarim milfanecha, yehu ve'enecha kirzakain, lichshekablu aleim et adin. And when they walk out from you, let them be, as our school translated, when they walk out from you, let them be like innocent parties when they've accepted the judgment. So there are a few pirushim we're going to see. We'll just see a couple of interesting nuggets, and then we'll kind of frame the whole thing through the eyes of the Abarbanel. So here's what we say about Al Tas Atzmecha Ke'orchei Hadayanin. Rambam here has a fascinating way of explaining this. So what does that mean? So he says, do not make yourselves like the people who. So what happens is, obviously, a person who kind of stands in court, right? People who arrange cases before the judges, well, they'll be fairly familiar with the legal process, and they'll know what answers tend to win judgments or tend to be successful defenses in lawsuits against them. And so what Rambam is saying this means is, don't be like that. As in, what you mean? Let's say a friend of yours is being sued, right, or is suing, and you know your friend is the innocent party. He's the victim here, right? And he says, right? Even though this orchei hadayanin knows that this person is in fact the victim, right? And even though the other party is actually making lies, right? Even so, you're not allowed to teach your friend what arguments to make in order to win in court. To take Safari's translation, it's a powerful idea, so we'll just see it more clearly. Even if he knew about him, that he was the victim and that his fellow's claim against him is false according to what he truly thinks, nonetheless, it is not permissible for him to teach him an argument that will save him or benefit him at all. That's amazing. So what we're saying is, effectively, the means do not justify the ends. You can't be like, listen, he's the victim, I'm just going to do what I need to do to make sure he wins. He should have won anyway. That's not a Jewish position. And in fact, Rabbi Taz has a whole shir about this concept, the idea of free will. It's actually, the shir is on free will, and he gives the following fact scenario. It's a true story. There's a dayan, a well-respected judge, and he was asked to be the third judge on this panel to judge a case. And when this judge went on, and he quickly realized that the other two judges were corrupt, and they were friends of one of the parties, and they planned on ruling for him, even though this party was apparently the guilty party. So this judge, this third judge, didn't want to be part of this, but he was already kind of sucked into the situation, and what's he going to do? Now the truth is, since there were 2 against 1, they were going to win anyway. So it didn't really matter what this judge said, so he didn't know exactly how to get out of it. Now, he knew how he wanted to rule, but he was thinking, if I say I don't know, if I abstain from voting, so this court case is going to be invalidated, because you can't have an even number of judges ruling on a matter. So they're going to need to either just bring in more judges, or they'll have to find a way to restart the case with a new panel of judges. So the question was, is he allowed to say something false, i.e., I don't know, so that a true result will result, or did he have to just kind of rule true according to what he saw and let falsity prevail? That was his question, and that's the question that I guess launches Rabbi Tatz's shir. Don't fully understand it myself, so I can't even presume to give a shir about it, but I'll attach the link below. But so this is the idea of do the ends justify the means? And the answer to that is probably not. We'll listen to Rabbi Tatz's shir, but what Rambam here is clearly saying is no. Don't be the kind of person who starts feeding one of the litigants the appropriate arguments to make in court, because the Mishna is exhorting you to this, and you're abusing your position of power effectively. Rambam doesn't say abusing your power, but he says don't do it. So that's one parish. Okay, so looking at Rabbeinu Yona, so he says, right? So what he says is, it's a mirat chasidut, but the idea is once the judge has issued his ruling, you'll tend to see that the other party in line, right? Or making a false claim, or really putting things in a completely unrealistic and untrue light in his favor. And says Rabbi Yona, Yesh Lachshov, this person did tshuva. He accepted the din. So don't go around and keep thinking that he's this liar, that he's just, he's a liar, no good, he's not that kind of person. No, we should let him be like an innocent party. That's what the Mishna is telling us. Don't let this kind of rumor spread in your mind, if you will. Don't let that impression sink into your head that that's just what this person is like. He's accepted the din. Yesh Lachshov, maybe he did tshuva. So that's an important way of thinking. People change. This guy may have done something wrong, but maybe he's better now. I mean, look at what he's done. He's accepted responsibility. So there you go. And then finally, just before we get again to the full run-in into the Abarbanel, he gives a really interesting pirush of Al Tas Asmecha Ke'orchei HaDayanin. What does that mean? Ke'orchei HaDayanin means the arrangers of the Dayanim, the arrangers of the judges. That is to say, the people who select who's a judge. Why? Because the Abarbanel says, because those kinds of people tend to pick their family and friends, right? They pick their close-knit circle. And those are the people who are going to get appointed to judges. Do not be like that. That's what we're being exhorted against, according to the Abarbanel in this Mishnah. Amazing. So, okay. Now, going more into his kind of holistic view of the Mishnah 8 and 9. We're on Mishnah 8 right now. And he says, this is actually a follow-up for Mishnah 6 and 7. What do I mean? Especially Rabbi Shua ben Parachia. Because Rabbi Shua ben Parachia says, V'hevei dan et kol ha'adam l'kav zchut. Right? If you judge every person favorably, says the Abarbanel, these Mishnahs are actually coming to mitigate against that din. We need to temper it. We need to hone it and refine it and just make sure that no inappropriate results are produced from this. Now what do I mean? Says, okay, let them be like guilty parties, like wicked people. Why? Because if two parties come in front of you and you're just being down the kav zchut, you'll be like, well, the plaintiff is probably telling the truth, and the defendant is telling the truth, and you won't really know what to say because you're just being down the kav zchut. But if you think of them as Rashayim, you're going to want to start prodding a little bit, sifting a little bit. What's going on? Start asking questions and making sure to get down to the point because you don't trust them. You're not being down the kav zchut. So that's what Yehuda ben Tava is going to teach us. You can't go around thinking like, everyone's just doing the, being honest and being straightforward. No, you need to ask them. They should be like Rashayim to you. And only then, once you ask them these questions, right, then at that point, then you could be down the kav zchut. This is what Yehuda ben Tava is saying. Don't be down the kav zchut just yet. But once the judgment has been ruled and the people have accepted the verdict, right? Now you don't have to say, don't think, he's being sneaky in his lawsuit. That person was just denying that other person falsely. Maybe what they did was just a mistake, especially given the fact that they accepted the din. This seems like it actually went quite well. But it says the Abarbanel, might think, well, maybe the other party was just being smart, man. They kind of got the better of the judge. It's very nice for the judge to be like, oh wow, I guess I did my job, and sometimes Rashayim, and now we're all good. So comes Mishnah 9, which we're just going to touch on briefly. Is Shimon ben Shetach Omer having marve lachkor et eidim? Grill them, ask them a lot of questions, get into it, make sure that this is clear, that you know what's going on, that they can't pull the rug under your feet. But moreover, right? But be careful what you say, because you don't want to teach them how to lie. You're not trying to give them, ask a question in a way that they know what to answer. You need to make sure to be careful. Grill them. Just be careful with your questions so you can get down to the truth. That's what's going on here. So we're doing here, Yehuda ben Tava and Shimon ben Shetach is actually just they're coming to clarify and limit what was said in Mishnahs 6 and 7. That's the idea, and we'll end it there. Shabbat Shalom.